Mommy, let me sleep a little longer.
Why does my voice sound like a man's? And where am I?
What the hell is going on? How did I become Emma Taylor? Could this be because of last night's kiss? Last night, my boyfriend Brandon humiliated me in front of everyone. Everyone was waiting to see me humiliated. Ryan was the only person who stood up for me. But I wasn't grateful. He wasn't saving me. He just hated anyone causing trouble on his turf.
You should break up with him.
What business is it of yours? This isn't the office. Don't talk down to me like that. When we woke up, our souls had swatched bodies. At first, I completely lost it. But then I saw his mansion, and the empire he ruled from above. Money and power were the only things Ryan Blackmed cared about, right? Then I'd use his body to rewrite every rule. That morning, I walked into the boardroom wearing his face. Every executive jumped to their feet. No one even dared breathe too loudly. I took the head seat and made one announcement.
Starting today, everyone's salary is doubled. Performance bonuses are no longer tied to KPIs. If you show up and do your job, everyone gets a bonus.
The executives looked completely stunned.
Afternoon tea will be replaced with 5-star catering. Holiday benefits are getting a major upgrade, and overtime will be paid at the highest possible rate. Mr. Blackwood, that would put us way over budget.
I leaned back and slowly smiled.
Then let it.
Ryan Blackwood, starting today, your empire is mine to play with. I thought giving the entire company better benefits while I was in Ryan's body was already crazy enough, but I never expected the real Ryan to show up wearing my face. He slipped inside during the security shift change, avoided every employee he passed, and rushed straight up to the executive floor. The next second, he saw me sitting in his office, about to sign off on a brand new employee benefits budget. 5-star employee meals, double salaries, and bonuses with no KPIs. Every single item felt like another knife going straight into his chest. He charged over, grabbed my wrist, and dragged me into an empty conference room. The second the door closed, he lowered his voice and warned me, "Enough. We're switching back. Right now."
You think I enjoy walking around with that frozen face of yours?
He took a deep breath like he was fighting the urge to strangle me. We switched because we accidentally kissed last night, so we retrace our steps and kiss again. My entire body froze. I didn't want to admit he was right, but the thought of showering, sleeping, and using the bathroom in a man's body for the rest of my life was even worse. So I closed my eyes, forced myself to do it, and leaned in. Ryan watched his own face moving closer, and he looked completely horrified. Our lips touched, but nothing happened. So we tried a second time, and then a third.
You jerk! Did you just use your tongue?
Only because you weren't cooperating! The air in the room kept getting hotter, and our breathing became more and more ennui. But our bodies still hadn't switched back. In the end, Ryan and I both collapsed onto the floor.
My first kiss was stolen by my own face. What is that, kissing myself?
Emma, can you shut up? We had no choice but to accept reality. Starting today, I had to keep running Blackwood Enterprises as CEO in Ryan Blackwood's body, and he had to face the complete disaster that was my life and mine. We couldn't let anyone find out we'd swapped souls, so Ryan had no choice but to take me back to his penthouse. The second I walked in, I froze. A private elevator, a climate-controlled wine cellar, and a living room overlooking the entire Manhattan skyline. I couldn't help looking at him with a cold smirk.
You capitalists live like this every day, and you still have the nerve to complain that employee snacks cost too much?
Wearing my face, Ryan looked as cold as ice.
Don't touch my things.
That night, I came out of the shower wearing his black bathrobe. The collar hung loose, and water slid down my neck. Ryan looked up once, then immediately turned away. I deliberately stepped closer.
Ryan, what are you hiding from? This is your own body.
He grinned his teeth. The problem is, the person inside this body is you. When it was Ryan's turn to change, things got even better. He stood in front of my closet, staring at all the dresses and underwear, his entire body against the doorframe, and laughed so hard I could barely
Mr. CEO, don't tell me you don't even know how to put on a dress.
He turned and shot me a vicious glare. That night, we started arguing again over who got the primary bedroom. By the end of it, all we could do was build a wall of pillows down the middle of the bed.
Whoever crosses this line is a dog.
Ryan answered me coldly. Worry about yourself. But in the middle of the night, I rolled straight into his arms. He raised his hand, and I thought he was going to push me away. But his hand stopped in midair, unable to touch me or lower itself. In the end, he didn't move a single finger against me. I kept my eyes closed and pretended to be asleep, but my heart refused to cooperate. The man who had annoyed me for 3 years had just let me sleep in his arms. And only one question was left in my head. Why didn't he push me away? I suddenly remembered that tomorrow was Brandon and my 1-year anniversary. I'd booked us a table at an upscale restaurant, and Ryan ruined everything. Who told him to use my body to beat my boyfriend so badly he ended up in the hospital?
If you don't go to the hospital and take care of Brandon, I'll buy everyone in the company a luxury car.
Ryan glared at me through my own face, grinding his teeth. Emma Taylor, you're the worst disaster I've ever seen. But in the end, I would Reika. Ryan had barely reached the hospital room when he heard Brandon talking to another woman inside.
Babe, come by later. Once I get Emma's paycheck this month, I'll buy you that bag.
And Ryan's eyes instantly turned ice cold. He pushed the door open. Brandon immediately ended the call and replaced his smile with a weak, helpless expression.
Emma, what took you so long? Where's my soup?
Ryan placed the thermocline beside the gentle, but his voice was ice cold. This soup isn't to help you recover. It's to put some brains back in your head. Brandon froze.
Why are you being so mean today?
Ryan picked up the spoon and moved toward him one slow step at a time. Didn't you say you were so hungry you felt dizzy? Open up. Brandon shrunk back in fear, but the smile on Ryan's face only grew colder. I stood outside the door, slowly curling my fingers into a fist. The man I'd loved for an entire year had never seen me as his girlfriend. He only saw me as a fool who would come running whenever he called, and the cruelest irony was that the first person to help me see the truth was Ryan Blackwick, the man I hated most. Brandon looked at my face and assumed I'd cave like always. He kept groaning, asking to be fed, and using our past to guilt me.
I'm your boyfriend. Taking care of me is the least you can do.
He had no idea Ryan Blackwood was the one standing there in my body. Boyfriend? You eat her food, live off her money, and spend her paycheck on another woman? Brandon's face shifted. Before he could lie, Ryan hit play. The call played back, every word filling the room. Brandon panicked and grabbed for the phone. Ryan pinned his wrist with one clean move. Touch her again. I'll show you what legal bankruptcy looks like. Brandon went pale and silent. Then I walked in wearing Ryan's body.
Who are you?
Brandon had no clue what was happening. He only saw a stranger staring him down. I looked at the man I'd cared for a year and realized every bit of love had been wasted. I couldn't even say we're done with my own mouth. Ryan saw it. No more excuses. I'll cover the medical bills, send every statement. As for us, we're done. Then he took my hand and walked out without looking back. Outside, my eyes burned, but I still acted tough.
Who asked you to get involved?
Ryan looked at me and answered quietly. I wasn't getting involved. I just think you deserve better. My heart jumped. I looked away, but from that second on, I couldn't hate Ryan the same way again. I thought if I used Ryan Blackwood's body to hand out benefits like crazy, I'd drive his company straight into bankruptcy. Instead, by the very next day, the company was trending everywhere online. Employees posted their doubled salaries, 5-star lunches, and family suppities online. I stared at the trending page, completely stunned. Even crazier, our brand approval shot up, HR's inbox was flooded with resumes, and clients who had been on the block started calling us, asking to work together. I was trying to waste money, so how did I accidentally create a business miracle? The board lost patience fast. They summoned me to the conference room and demanded that Ryan Blackwood explain the runaway costs. I sat at the head of the table staring at a screen packed with financial reports, and my scalp practically went numb, so I secretly texted Ryan. Meanwhile, the real Ryan, stuck in my body, was dealing with overdue bills and texts from my landlord on my phone. He replied calmly. I took a deep breath and looked up at the board.
Employees are not a cost, and the one room most worth safe investing in.
The directors who had been ready to hold me accountable exchanged uneasy, complicated looks. On the other side of the screen, Ryan watched me. For the first time, he didn't call me reckless.
He only murmured completely hopeless.
After the board meeting, I was so excited it felt like I'd just won a battle. Who would have thought? All I wanted was to blow through Ryan's fortune. But somehow, my employee benefits reform left the entire board speechless. The second I left the conference room, I rushed straight to the break room to find Ryan. But I completely forgot that I was wearing Ryan Blackwood's body now. So when I boxed him in against the wall, it looked like the ice-cold CEO had cornered his assistant, Emma.
Wasn't I totally badass in there?
Ryan was forced against the wall, watching his own face move closer and closer. He should have been angry, but his eyes clearly faltered for a short second. Then he reminded me coldly.
That was my logic, my data, and my company.
I grinned even wider.
But I was the one who said it.
Just then, an employee walked past the door. She saw the whole thing through the glass, panicked, lowered his head, and hurried away. Less than a minute later, the company group chat completely exploded. Oh my god, I can't believe this. Is something going on between them?
No way. Is this actually happening?
That was when I realized how dangerous our position looked, and I hurriedly stepped back. But my foot slipped, and I fell straight toward Ryan. He instinctively reached out and caught me firmly around the waist. We both froze. I hurriedly reminded him.
Don't use my body, go grouping.
Ryan immediately let go, but his voice sounded lower than usual.
Then you'd better stop falling into my arms.
Executive Vice President Olivia quickly realized something was off about Ryan. The old Ryan was calm, precise, and never waste a word. But now with me inside Ryan's body, I was actually Rame Joe's for working so hard. I even stared at the surveillance footage, her eyes slow wizards to little assistant Tizema. She began to suspect delivered that something had happened to this man. So she deliberately arranged a dinner, claiming it was to host a group of financial heavyweights. It was actually to test me. That night, standing in the middle of the crowd in Ryan's body, I was so nervous I nearly picked up the wrong glass. I knew every word they were saying, but strung together, it sounded like an alien language. I hurried into the restroom and called Ryan.
Help. What even is an MMA model? I don't understand any of this.
On the other end, Ryan stood outside the women's restroom in my body and lowered his voice. Smile first. Don't nod too quickly. Remember, act like everything they're saying is nonsense. I followed his advice, and somehow those Wall Street big guys actually thought I was impossible to read. So I kept pretending to be calm and somehow made it through the entire dinner. But when Ryan and I met in the hallway, my legs nearly gave out from nerves and I almost fell straight into his arms. He instinctively reached out and caught me. For 1 second, both of us froze. And Olivia happened to saw the whole thing from down the hall. She watched little assistant Emma leaning against Ryan Blackwood and a cold smiley curved across her lips.
Looks like Mr. Blackwood finally has a weakness.
Before the gala even started, I ran into a life or death problem. I had absolutely no idea how to tie a tie. I'd been fighting with it for 10 straight minutes and nearly left a mark around his neck. Ryan finally couldn't take it anymore. I opened my mouth to argue, but his hand was already inside my collar. It was such an ordinary gesture, but when he leaned close, the room suddenly felt way too hot. Worse, I was staring at my own face. I teased him to hide my racing heart.
Ryan, using my face to get this close? That's cheating.
Funny. You're the one blushing.
I fired back immediately.
That's your face blushing. It has nothing to do with me.
Then Olivia's voice came from outside. Ryan? Are you in there? We were way too close. I could hear every breath he took. And I couldn't tell whether the heartbeat in my chest was mine or Ryan's body reacting for me. I held my breath. Even my fingers went still. A few seconds passed. She found nothing and finally turned away. The door clicked shut. My shoulders relaxed until I realized Ryan still hadn't moved.
You're way too close.
You grabbed me first. That was when I stopped knowing whose heartbeat had truly lost control, mine or Ryan inside my body. Olivia decided to test me again by inviting Ryan Blackwell to open the dance with her. Every eye in the ballroom was on me.
But none of them knew I couldn't even do the basic lead steps.
Olivia stood in the center with a perfect smile. I had no choice but to take her hand. The second I moved, I nearly stepped on her gown. The amusement in Olivia's eyes kept growing. She didn't want to dance. She wanted me to slip up. Just as I was about to fall apart, the real Ryan walked over wearing my body.
Mr. Blackwood, would you mind giving me a demonstration?
I stared at him, but the applause left me no way to refuse. I let go of Olivia, took Ryan's hand, and led him to the center of the floor. The music restarted, and under everyone's eyes, we slowly moved closer.
Ryan rested one hand on my shoulder and laced the other with mine, quietly guiding every step.
Left foot back, hand on my waist, and stop standing there like a plank.
I clenched my teeth and put my hand on his waist.
I'm holding my own body right now. How am I supposed to relax?
Then you'd better get used to it. Warm chandelier light covered us. His arm around my shoulder, my hand at his waist, every step pulling us closer. The looks around us grew suggestive. To them, the cold CEO was openly dancing with his assistant.
Before the gala was even over, photos of us had spread across the entire company. The headline was more dramatic than a tabloid. I watched the views and comments climb, completely frozen. I completely lost it.
This is a disaster. I used your face to start a dating rumor with myself.
Ryan went for a few seconds. I thought he'd call PR immediately and make them deny everything, but he only kept looking at the screen and finally spoke. Denying it now might only make us look more suspicious. I looked up at him. In that moment, I couldn't tell whether he didn't want to explain or simply didn't want to deny it.